on one of the performances that we were going to do was a Shiv Tandava dance, the Shiva along with the Ganas, okay, doing the celestial dance. We did the practice with Swami in Purnachandra. So he came and he got the chair and he sat down and he started directing the stuff. What really was a highlight was we did this multiple days, this practice, and he got it to the level of perfection that he needed to for everyone, right? So the real reason for this was instructions at a detail level.
Sairam, dear listeners, welcome to Sai SOUL 100. Our guest today is Brother Rangesh Jagannathan, who's joining us from New Jersey. Sairam, Brother Rangesh, thank you for joining Sai SOUL 100.
Sairam, sister, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences with the broader community.
Sairam, thank you. Please share your stories.
I think I'll start off, Sairam, with a very initial story of how when I tried to join the university. This is going back to 93, somewhere in, I think, maybe May or June. This was a summer course in Vrindavan, wherein it's very popular. Everybody comes there, and we have a lot of dignitaries that turn out. But while this was happening, my mind was elsewhere because I was thinking, like, why am I here? Because my dad and my back home, they asked me to actually join the university in order to learn things in life, very different from the conventional way of living. I was from Chennai, so I had a lot of other options such as Loyola College and so on. But when I got into this university and I went there, it looked like, my mind wasn't fixated on joining and I was a little bit restless. So lo and behold, I called my dad like 2 days later. And so I persisted with him to really say that I don't think I'll fit here. I think it's better that I leave now. It was also because I'd applied for a program, the BCom, but what I got was something called MES, Math, Economics, Statistics, which was the first batch of that, and there was no precedence for it. I couldn't ask anyone else. So it was really a little bit, unsettling to say the least. He actually came immediately, like third day after dropping me off from Chennai to Bangalore. And then he said, like, okay, wait, let me talk to the warden. So he went to the warden and spoke, and warden said, no, it's a great program. Like, you shouldn't worry. I think these things happen. Like, first year, people do this. Like, don't worry, you go back. He goes back 2 days later. I again call him. He again comes back. So I think he did 3 trips in the 9-day summer course. And during that time, like, he had told me, like, give the letter to Swami, like saying that you wanted a change in the course. And actually, like, I gave it so many times, and every time he accepted it. I would give it in the, outside or in the kitchen and all that. So come the third visit, I think I found enough people who were of similar thinking and who actually gave me the feeling that I should, continue the program, because there were other, like 8 of us were selected or 9 of us. So my mind changed, and the last visit I basically told him, yes, you can go back. So it took a good number of pull and push, and actually a lot of uncomfortable, trips, particularly from my dad, to really convince me. But 5 years later, I think I was more than convinced that this was the right opportunity, and there are many other stories I can share on that. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two is, I think it's between 96 and 97. There were a series of discourses that were happening in Sai Kulvanthal. I think Vrindavan, there was always opportunity to hear from Swami in a private setting or a public setting. So it depends. Sometimes the private setting that the students get used to go on for like 100 days. But there was this opportunity when the Sai Kulvanthal was freshly built to have a series of sessions wherein we had opportunity for the students or a professor to talk, and then Swami would give a discourse. So I was selected to speak, privileged to speak one of the days, and it was on a topic of friendship. So I think this was a very interesting speech that was, of course, done with the help of several teachers in the college, my Sanskrit teacher, and also one of the other teachers, English teachers. So they were very much sure that I would do a good job because it was like maybe 3 or 4 from my batch who would do this. So I really was representing the whole MBA batch. It was in year 1 of MBA. I was representing that batch. So time comes. I think I've practiced enough. I go to the stadium and practice. The kind of practices, because the stadium has that view of so many people. There's an ocean kind of view. So I did all of that. So the moment comes, and then I go in, give the rose to Swami, and then he blesses, and I go back to the dais. I actually froze. So I'm trying to make it up, and directly in front of me is my roommate and someone who was very close to Swami. He was sitting right in front of me, and I'm trying to not see the whole audience because it will overwhelm me. Then from one section of the audience, there was a kind of murmur saying that, like almost feeling that I'm going to fail. And Swami was telling the student in front of me, like, Machiboinadu or something like that. He forgot, right? He was telling in a way, and he was trying to look at it. So the teachers behind me are standing right behind me and like trying to hint me to move forward, because I think it was a Sanskrit sloka.
पापान् निवारयति यो जयते हिताय गुह्यां निगूहति गुणान् प्रकटीकरोति आपद्गदं च न जहाति ददाति काले सन्मित्रलक्षणमिदं प्रवदन्ति शन्तः.
Now I can say, but I couldn't say it that day. So, it was one of those moments wherein you're seeing him and like, I think you really forgot. So it all happened. What I did was, I did like this. And then Swami was like making even more fun of me to the people in front. I think he's gone, like something like that. He was pulling the leg, but I didn't see Swami is pulling the leg. Okay, but I can see the reflection from others. So what I did was I kind of went, I think maybe half the sloka, I skipped the rest of it and went into the speech. So I decided to not do the full sloka or most of it or some of it. I don't even remember now, but I did a little bit of disservice on that front, but I went forward and did the whole speech pretty well. Then I went back and sat with a lot of relief, and there was more relief from the professors and all of that, because after this day, if it's going to be stopped, I'll be the cause, right? It'll be lack of practice or whatever. So there was that fear. But rather than that, what happened was that discourse, Swami actually quoted me, and he mentioned about friendship, and he used the line of the friendship into his discourse, and he liberally used it. So very soon, everything was forgotten and erased. So I got a lifeline and the rescue in like near real time done. So when I went back, I think it was not all about like what happened, which was still a question, but it was more about the fact that, oh, Swami actually mentioned your words or your stuff. It was not my words, it was taught to me by the professor. So the fact that that became a theme of the discourse, so that discourse is still there. Like it talks about friendship in a big way. Like he used some parts of it in different parts of the discourse. So I was very happy that, I wasn't, I was completely turned my sentiments around in a very short period of time. And it also showed that he comes to your rescue literally and figuratively. All right. So that's one thing I would say. The next one is, I think many a time he tests you, literally, and sometimes not when he's around. But the ones that I would remember are clearly when I was again in the first year of MBA, and then we had a great batch, and some of them used to be in close touch with Swami. And then he asked, like, who's the roommate of this boy? So who was there? Like, then I said, it's me, Swami. And then, okay, is he a good boy? I said, yes. And then Swami said, like, how do you know that? I said, because Swami, he's daily with you. Something like that. He said, oh, like, so he made a thing that, I gave a very smart, cute answer, but I got away with that. But I think what he was trying to ask was like, really trying, and this was like the whole batch was there. I think MBA and MFM were there. So it's easily like that small interview room in Patti, talking about like 60 people or something like that, a large set of people. So what I saw was like he was trying to, and he has never spoken to me before. So I saw that more as like the way he was trying to make me not feel that, okay, that boy is going in daily, but now by talking to me about him or something, he was erasing that feeling that he is exclusive or something. So he's bringing it down to the level of, I would say like everyone is same. So don't feel like this. So the inner message was that. So I think that one I clearly remember. The next one, which was even more, I would say, a lesson was that particular day, I think I was going late from the hostel to the college for some reason. I generally don't go late, but was a bit late because I was not well or whatever. Then I saw like suddenly the car, Swami's car come in, and so the whole hostel is empty. Swami's car is coming in. It was going into the hostel. Typically, he can go to Gokulam or he can go to the hospital. It was coming into the hostel, and I was like, what is happening? So unfortunately, you are not allowed inside after Swami went in because it will cause, commotion or a disturbance. But what he did was, my roommate, the same person I mentioned, he actually had a high fever. So he didn't kind of come that day. Then Swami came to see him and then into the room. So this was, luckily, we were the first room as soon as he enters. So I think he came in and he saw and went back. So I was like beyond shocked because it's like we go there, and I don't think, at least in my stay, he had come there physically. He used to come there before, but not during my stay. It was literally the first time that he actually came into the hostel. There are not a lot of people. He went into a room, saw someone, and went back. So he didn't need to do that. Like people may say, why only him? But really, the message was like what later I heard was that individual was definitely kind of pining for him, and he was really not happy that he couldn't go to darshan the previous day. And there are many other stories behind the thing, which maybe the full details one would not get to know. But the real message is you give him a call in that ethereal space, and he can turn up physically in this situation, and even otherwise he would turn up. So I think in all these, I would say the message is very clear, right? One is he allows you to make mistakes, but he can rescue you. He can come to you when you need him. And when you're indecisive, he allows you to go through that whole set of emotions. But finally, I think he guides you on the right path. And I can tell you that that program, Math Economic Statistics, is highly competitive now. The number of people who want to do that program is probably inverse of when I was there because of lack of understanding. And I actually had the privilege of being taught by, who also became a vice chancellor later, Professor Vishwanath Pandit, who was the teacher for our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. So like that set of teachers and the methodology and the course content and all that was uniquely thought out. But I refused to accept that, thinking I was on a high horse, thinking like BCom is the only program I should go and all that. And the other thing is, I got the privilege to be in Parthi, and it looks like I was destined to be there because that program was only in Parthi. So in a way, like some of my choices were not given, or all of my choices, but it turned out that those were the right choices for the individual. And acceptance of that is probably led me to be a better person and happier person. And I think you always need to have an open mind and believe, but it is easier said than done. And particularly when you came in cold from outside, it is easier said than done. So this would apply to people who are know his teachings but don't fully believe in all the other stuff he does. So I would say that the real message is like, you want to just believe in the teachings, I think you're good. I think just following even some of his teachings is more than good, because it's really not possible to digest and follow everything. But if you follow a percentage of it, and then that makes you a better person, and then you start believing it, and that makes you even better person.
You have any experiences with Swami during birthday times or anything that comes to you as how he was during any celebrations?
There is one more story, is that ahead of the celebrations, before the big homam starts, I believe it's Navratri or around that time, we used to always have performances by students. So on one of the performances that we were going to do was a Shiv Tandava dance, the Shiva along with the Ganas, doing the celestial dance. We did the practice with Swami in Purnachandra, which is not usual because he had called us. He used to take turns in seeing the drama, the other stuff ahead of time, the rehearsals. It was our turn to go for the practice of the dance. So which was very unique because we were not really well practiced back in the university, so we were right there. It was a very long session, I think 1 or 2 hour session, and Swami was there out. He suddenly came from the thing on the stage because he's on the other side, right? So he came on the stage, and we are there on the main ground where people sit, and we were practicing. So he came and he got the chair and he sat down and he started directing the stuff. Now, the teacher was from Hyderabad. I forgot his name, very famous teacher, but he started getting nervous a bit. But he was like, he's very professional, but he's a Swami. He's going to be not making any mistakes and all that. But he was super confident. He came over his fear and he started doing all the stuff, talam and all that very well. Of course, some of us did do a great job, like the people who were the ganas. But what really was a highlight was we did this multiple days, this practice, and he got it to the level of perfection that he needed to for everyone, right? So the real reason for this was instructions at a detail level, how to do the move, and even the moves, because of course he knows Shiv Tandav, so he is teaching that in a very very naive way for us, thinking that we don't know that he knows. So it was very unique if you didn't keep that aspect also, because he was trying to teach you how to do it, what is the meaning behind it. So what it essentially, I would say, the message is, right, nothing is to be left for just do it, right? It has to be practiced and brought into a state level at which it is meeting the standards, not because he's organizing it, but because that's what you should be doing, right? So it's a personal message more than a message for saying like you're doing it in front of me, you got it. So thinking back, now I think it at that time, it would have been a bit painful because we did so many things in barefoot and it wasn't easy, right? And when we wore the real dress with all the stuff in it, it was not the easiest to do the performance. So I would say that the perfection, that attention to detail, and of course, after the end of all this practice, we all got a lot of goodies. Like he gave some stuff to us. I don't remember. I think we maybe got some dress or things like that. So we would get so many things just for doing a practice, which looks unreal to me, right? So again, he made sure there is incentive for doing it, because then you're going to probably have that feeling to come and do it better. So he was working on how a human would act, bringing you to a level of perfection. And that whole thing turned out to be like a really a perfect hit. And meaning, of course, this person who did the Shiva thing was extraordinary, but all of us were able to learn so much about that whole thing, not just the act of dancing, but the real messages that Swami gave during the course. So we probably got 2-3 discourses as part of those practice sessions, which you would think is pretty privileged if you're only put 30 of them are getting that, right? So they were like, then people were trying to join our dances, thinking that this will be a great opportunity in the future years. So you can imagine what it led to in the future years. So I think I was privileged to do this too. And one more thing I would mention is like ahead of there was a cricket game that Swami once held there in the World Cup in the stadium between India and World 11. He spent so much time coming in 10 days before every day to the stadium. The reason I know is 3 of us were put in the Indian dressing room and 3 of us were in the world dressing room. I was in the Indian dressing room. So ahead of that, we had to be there to know what Swami is telling. So we had to monitor. It was unbelievable. Like, where will Ranatunga sit? Where will Gavaskar sit? Okay, this place you have to change. What he was telling is Aditi Devo Bhava, and how do you treat the guests? Are they coming? Like, how will the thing happen? Where will the presentation ceremony take place? This was unbelievable. All these moments are completely telling that do things absolutely well every time.
Sairam, Brother Rangesh, thank you so much for sharing this story. See, from your story, it's evident that Swami knows what's good for you, right? And you didn't want to be in that summer course. Poor father had to go back and forth. And he obliged when you asked, and he went back until you were ready. And then when you were ready, you turned towards Swami, towards Bhakti, towards Swami's course, and that was the perfect place for you to be. Sometimes we may be kicking and crying as to what we want, what we think we want, but Swami knows what is best for us. And also the public speaking, Swami encourages her students, not just Parthi students, but just his children as a whole, to have this confidence in themselves and to have this public speaking skills, right? And it doesn't matter what the topic is. It could be as simple as friendship,
Correct.
right? But he put you there, you froze, right? But there were people, your teachers, peers, were rooting for you. And Swami is also kind of making a light-hearted joke out of it, because he doesn't want you to feel all tensed up. He's making it light, and he even brings some of what you said into his discourse, making everybody forget the fact that you froze and making you shine a little when you know that he's the one who saved you. You also mentioned how sweet Swami is to go and visit his students when they're sick. He gives them one-on-one attention. He also made you feel included, right? There might be some boys you feel like are very, very close to Swami, everything is happening for them, but there are many other boys that might not necessarily have that feeling. But Swami made sure that every single student recognizes each one of them is special on their own. Swami's attention to detail is beyond what we can understand, right? Because we know he puts a detailed emphasis on small things, teaching us how we should be. But he's not only doing it because he wants the program to go well, but he wants his children to do well. He wants to showcase them, and also he wants the children to learn the meaning of doing things with the right kind of attitude. So there's so many angles to why Swami behaves or does things the way he does. And you are here to be able to share those with everybody, reminding all of us that importance of giving attention to even the practice. He shows up for the practice a lot more than the final product, final stage performance in itself, because the practice is where the transformation happens.
Exactly.
Because you're here narrating your story of your practice, not necessarily the performance.
Exactly. Like, actually, practice was the highlight, not the real one.
Thank you for coming to Sai Soul 100 and sharing your story.
I appreciate the opportunity. Sairam.
Sairam, dear listeners, thank you for listening to Sai Soul 100 with Brother Rangesh Jagannathan. I'm Prabha Swaminathan. Until next time, Jai Sairam.